Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. And AM 630. WMAL. Everybody's working for the weekend.
And happy Friday morning to you. Brian Eben, Brian Wilson with you. A lot of people thinking about going to the movies this weekend, and there's a big one out, The Avengers. Richard Roeper joins us now, film critic, of course, from the Chicago Sun-Times. All right, Richard, there's been a lot of buzz about this movie for quite some time, especially the comic book geeks have been waiting for this movie forever. Does it live up to all of the buzz behind this movie?
Well, guys, I'm happy to report that it indeed does live up to all the hype for once. It's worthy of all the buzz. Happy summer, by the way, because this is actually the start of the summer movie season,
sure.
Even though the real summer isn't until about 7 weeks from now. This is the first real big tentpole franchise movie of the year, and it's one of the best superhero movies ever made.
Really?
It's really a lot of fun. It's like this is like the All-Star game. You got all these franchise players like Captain America and Thor and Iron Man and the Hulk, and this is the first time they've been together on the big screen. So one of the things I really like about this movie is they have fun with that. This movie has a sense of humor about itself. Because let's face it, on some level, there's something really silly about Thor and the Hulk and Iron Man and Captain America in their costumes all in the same room together. And this movie acknowledges that, which makes it a lot more fun. In particular, Iron Man, who's my favorite superhero really these days, other than The Dark Knight, is Tony Stark / Iron Man, because Robert Downey Jr. elevates it to another, kind of level of acting. And he has a lot of quips in the movie about how absurd the whole thing is in the first place.
Do you have to know anything about the Avengers to like this movie, or it can be a non-comic book?
That's a great question, and that's one of the reasons I think this is going to be such a huge hit. I think the geeks, the guys who go to Comic-Con, the guys who dress up as their favorite characters, I think they'll be satisfied because it's true to the origins of all these characters and all their alter egos and stuff. But even if you've never seen any of the other movies, if you haven't picked up a comic book since you were 8 years old, you'll still be entertained by this movie because it's fun, it's got great special effects, and we're really talking about, top actors here. I mean, we've got a lot of Oscar nominees, from Samuel L. Jackson to Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson. Mark Ruffalo plays the Hulk. I mean, these are all, Jeremy Renner's in this movie. All of those actors have been nominated for Academy Awards for more serious films. And they're having fun with this, but they're also respectful of the material. So, you're seeing top actors in a light, fun, action-packed adventure, so you kind of get the best of both worlds.
A couple of things. It's in 3D, but I read somewhere that the 3D was done post-production. Does it work, or is it overdone?
No, and that's exactly why it doesn't work. When they do it in post-production, it's barely 2.5D. It's every once in a while you're like, oh yeah, there's a little 3D effect, and you can tell it was kind of slapped on after. So yeah, I had a lot of people ask me, do I need to see this in 3D? No. You're fine seeing it in just good old-fashioned regular 2D.
All right, the other thing is that it was released in other markets around the world before it came to the United States. What was the theory behind that?
That they rarely do that. It almost always comes here first, and I think because of the sort of universal nature of these characters, I mean, at its heart, it's an all-American story. I mean, you have Captain America, all these characters with the exception of Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, who's Russian. These are American iconic characters, but it's a classic good versus evil story. And because the villains are from another planet, I think it plays well in foreign countries. It's not like, oh, the villain is once again some Eastern European terrorist. So it's like everybody can relate to it because it's the one time in the movies where the planet bands together is when there's a threat from another world.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. So who are the villains?
The main villain is this guy Loki, who is the villain in Thor. He's Thor's brother who's out for revenge. He's come from another planet. It's the classic thing, too, where they always want to take over the world. And I always ask, well, what are they going to do after they destroy the world? How are they going to enjoy it? I never quite get that. They're going to invade the Earth. They're going to kill everybody, and then they're going to rule the Earth. And I'm like, well, who are you going to rule? The cockroaches?
Yeah, what's left?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, there are some other movies that are out there this summer that we should be looking for. What do you recommend as you look down the path?
Well, the next really huge movie, of course, in terms of like the comic book characters and stuff, is The Dark Knight Rises. That's the last of the Batman trilogy. So that is the movie that, everybody, as soon as they get over the Avengers in the next couple of weeks, and that comes out midsummer. There are a lot of franchises, a lot of sequels as usual, Madagascar 3 for the kids, stuff like that. But then you got some fun comedies as well. I think a lot of people are looking forward to seeing the Dictator, Sacha Baron Cohen, because we enjoyed, let's face it, that he spilled ashes on Ryan Seacrest on the red carpet.
Well, what about this Dark Shadows movie that I've heard some people say they're sort of looking for? Sometimes, in the movies, they take a campy show from TV and they turn it into a serious movie. I remember Lost in Space.
Right.
But then you got this, which was sort of a serious drama, and they camp it up.
Yeah, they're going the other way with this. The good things about Dark Shadows, I can tell you, and it's coming out in a couple weeks, is you've got, Johnny Depp and Tim Burton. So you're raising the game there. They're going for more of a comedic approach, which I think is a good idea, because let's face it, I go the rest of my life, guys, without seeing another vampire, unless we're going to have some fun with it. Enough with the vampires.
Except for True Blood. You got
me on that. I love True Blood.
All right. Before we let you go, so with the advent of 3D, do you now have to go see every one of these movies twice, in the regular version and in the 3D version?
No, I mean, I do think if there are both options, for example, with the Avengers, I could have seen it either way. I did screen it in 3D in case the 3D was awesome, so I can share that with the fans and say, hey, you got to see it in 3D. I don't feel like I need to go see it again in 2D. It's not going to be that different. And quite frankly, especially in this case, I felt like I was watching it in 2D, just wearing stupid glasses the whole time.
All right, so the bottom line is it's a good movie, and the nerds will love it, and the regular folk will like it too, huh?
Terrific entertainment, lots of fun, very funny, great special effects in addition to the 3D, and it's going to be a mega hit.
All right. Richard Roeper, it's a pleasure having you on. Thanks very much.
Anytime, guys.